Welcome back to Half Moon's Picks. This is Steve, and I'm going to briefly go over how I think the season's going to end for each division and what records they have, I think they'll have, and what they had last year with the Vegas odds. So what I did, I went and looked, I made my predictions, and then I looked up last year's totals and what Vegas thinks they're going to go through. So let's get started on the AFC East. I got New England finishing 11-5, with the Dolphins at 9-7, the Bills 6-10, and the Jets 5-11. This is a pretty easy one. New England, Tom Brady will be playing all the games. He won in court, so that's a no-brainer. And usually when they get snuffed by the press, they do excellent the following year, like the Spygate issue. So Vegas got them at 11. I got them at 11. I wouldn't go under or over on this total at all. The Dolphins, I think, improved a little bit. The Bills and Jets, I think, are going to fall. Jets have no quarterback, and I got them at 5 and 11, but realistically, they can go less than that. So a good bet, if you're betting the win totals in Vegas, would be the Jets under 7.5. All right, the next division, I got the AFC North. Now this is a tough one. I mean, they were just so close last year, and they were just winning. Other than Cleveland, obviously, and they're just like Pittsburgh lost in Baltimore, and Baltimore lost in Pittsburgh. It was just pretty crazy last year. So Cincinnati is usually the reigning king in that division the last few years. I can't win a playoff game, so this year I think I'm going with Baltimore. They made they got some young talent there, and I think they're going to do just slightly better than Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. Like I said, I got Baltimore 10-6, Pittsburgh 9-7, Cincinnati at 9-7, and the Lonely Browns at 5-11. If you're betting the win totals on this one, in this division, maybe the Cleveland probably under 6.5. Other than that, yeah, just stay away from this division. So next we're going to go to the AFC South. This is a no-brainer division. I think everybody and their brother knows how this division is going to play out. So I got Indianapolis at 12-4, Houston at 9-7. Jacksonville, I think, will slightly. I think Bortles look pretty impressive. But they'll win a couple more at 5-11. Tennessee is 3-13. Like I said, like Tennessee, you got the 1 and 2 picks. Tampa Bay and Tennessee. This is a rookie year. Yeah, I don't expect anyone to be Andrew Luck. Their first year. It's pretty. Unless they have a really great defense. So looking at the totals in Vegas, yeah, just Indianapolis over 10.5. That might be a good bet. Houston, it's hard to say how well Houston's going to be. Like I said, I got them just slightly over the total, but they don't have a good solid quarterback. So I wouldn't bet on any of the other three on that division. So yeah, Indianapolis, I'd go over. All right, next division, I got AFC West. I got Kansas City winning this division at 10-6. Just underneath them, Denver and San Diego at 9-7, and the only Raiders at 4-12. Now, Kansas City's, their defense is solid. Their offense is starting to get a little bit better. This is a creeper team. It's kind of hard to say. Denver this year, I'm banking on this is Peyton Manning's last year. I don't think he's going to do exceptionally well, and I think he's going to retire after this year if he don't get hurt. It's tough to say. They might go below 9-7 if he does get hurt. But if he stays healthy all year, I'm going to go with the 9-7. But I'm going to take Kansas City, and they're going to win this division. And I go over the total in the AFC West of 8.5 for Kansas City is a good solid bet. And I would also say Oakland under 6 pretty good as well. Oakland's got a tough schedule this year, even though I think they improved just slightly, but their schedule is just gonna knock them back down. So Kansas City, Oakland's a good bet for the over totals. So let's head over to the NFC. Starting off with the NFC East, I got Dallas Cowboys winning this division at 10-6, with the Eagles 8-8, and the New York Giants at 6-10, and Washington at 3-13. Now, the reason why I like Dallas, I mean, they have a good schedule. I think they're not going to be as good as last year, but they're still going to take this division. Now with the Eagles, Chip Kelly's kind of hard to say. You know, he did some screwy moves. They do got DeMarco Murray with the great running back. They're solid with the quarterback, whether you like Sam Bradford or not. You know, because you got Sanchez and Tim Tebow after them. So even if Sam does go down, they can bring a good, decent replacement behind him. But I think they're gonna stick with the run mostly, and maybe dink and dunk passes. I'll give them like I said, 8-8. I mean, it's about the best I can do for that team who the coach just got rid of all their good players. So the Giants, Eli Manning, they will stay about the same. I don't see any vast improvements in that team or declines, and I think Conklin and company, they'll probably revamp everything next year. They say, hey, we're not going nowhere, we're stuck in the same spot. So I think the Giants will do the same thing they did last year and pretty much rebuild next year. Washington will probably do worse. Kirk Cousins, he has what do you have, like a under 60% passing rating last year, and RG3 had just above him, and they might say him, who knows. The Colt McCoy, I think, looked pretty good in the preseason, but they might even show him signs of starting about halfway through the season after they find out they don't have a quarterback. So betting on this division, going the win totals, I'd probably go with the Washington under 6.5. That's a pretty solid bet there. All right, and let's go to the NFC North. Yeah, NFC North, I got Detroit and Green Bay tied for this division, but I'm going to put Detroit on top, 10-6, with Green Bay 10-6. Minnesota thereafter 9-7, with Chicago 4-12. Now Detroit, they got packed full of talent. Their defense might show a little bit less than last year, but like I said, in the preseason, the starters, they killed RG3 in the playoffs, and they had to sit all the starters because they felt bad for injuring their starting quarterback. So I think they're going to be just as strong, maybe just a little bit less, but their run defense looks solid. But in Green Bay, I would have said 12-4, but Jordy Nelson out. Randall Cobb said, I'm going to start this year, but that shoulder, he's going to have to baby that. If he does, and one good hit's going to knock him back out. But Green Bay, they keep within, and they still got Aaron Rodgers. But Aaron Rodgers last year, his knees hurting, or his calf, and then his collarbone the year before. So he's showing signs of age as well. So I'm going to set them back, and possibly Detroit, taking this division. So that's what I'm doing there. Minnesota, they're improving. Chicago is failing. If I were to bet any of the game win totals on this, I would go with Chicago under 6.5 and Detroit over 8.5. That's for sure. All right, next division, I got the NFC South. Now this was a crapshoot. No one wanted to win this division last year, but I got New Orleans. It was a tough decision. New Orleans on top with 10-6, with Atlanta at 9-7. Thereafter, Carolina 7-9, with Tampa Bay 3-13. Like I said, that Tampa Bay, they're just not looking too good, and they got a rookie quarterback, so we'll see how it goes from there. But I never bet on rookie quarterbacks, and their offensive line's horrible as well. As much as I love the Bucs, I'm going to say they're going to have another losing season. New Orleans looks a little bit better. I know they lost some key players, but and Atlanta looks pretty sharp. So there's a toss-up between Atlanta and New Orleans, but I ended up going with New Orleans. And Carolina, Benjamin out. That was their star receiver last year, so we got them at 7-9. So betting on the win totals, I'm going to go probably Tampa Bay under 6. That's a solid bet. All right, so NFC West. Seattle must reign in this division. Looking at their schedule, they play some pretty tough teams, but they're so good at home. Like I said, I know Dallas beat them last year for one game, but they're a solid team. They got a solid defense, and they improved their offense a lot better. I'm not a big Russell Wilson fan, but I definitely think Seattle will get 11 wins this year. And then my sleeper team, I got the St. Louis Rams, second place at 10-6. I think the Rams made some great improvements this year, and their head coaches, that's the iffy part with this team. But the players are solid. I like Nick Foles, believe it or not. Their defense, they got a few Lions players, so I think they'll do great, and they'll keep up with Seattle this year. Arizona 7-9 with San Francisco 5-11. Arizona, they got an aging quarterback, and I just don't trust this team. I don't see how anybody can. Arizona, I mean, they did great last year, but fell apart because they had no quarterbacks, and they got the same quarterbacks this year. So, and he's a second string from Cincinnati. So, I'm going with the 7-9, and San Francisco is just all depleted. They're in the news and getting arrested, and coach went to Michigan. And Kaepernick. So, definitely San Francisco in the cellar. If I were to bet any win totals, it's a tough one. St. Louis is a hunch. Like I said, I like St. Louis, but going over the 8 might be a possible bet. But as far as that division goes, it's a defensive battle in that whole division except for San Francisco. So it should be a lot of under the total in the games if you ever see those in the divisional games. So, that's about wraps it up. I didn't want to make this video too long. I'm just giving you my rundown on how I think the division will play out. If I were to pick on a Super Bowl contender, I did like Green Bay. It's tough to say in the NFC North, but I'm gonna have to say, I don't know. I'm gonna say Dallas in the NFC, and then I'm gonna go with the Colts in the AFC. All right, well, that's my predictions, and I'll see you here shortly on my Week 1 predictions on the spreads. So stay tuned, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you later. Peace.